and appreciate the beauty of the guqin or the gujun, pipa. One of my students gave me this, and I think it means the book is as big as the world.
Hi everyone! Welcome to Talk with Yuzai. I'm Jing Wen from Teachers College, and I'm also a member from Yuzai Group. And this is Dr. Allsup. And he's a music education professor at Teachers College, Columbia University.
And your student.
Oh yeah, I teach Dr. Allsup Chinese Mandarin because I always call him Rui De.
Rui De.
Yeah, that's his Chinese name, Rui De.
哥大教授.
So would you like to talk about your personal experience? So what made you want to be a music professor?
I grew up playing music, and I came from a very small town, 2 hours south of Chicago, blue-collar background, and all of my music education occurred in the public school, which makes me a little bit unusual for this level of achievement. Playing a musical instrument is expensive, and private lessons are expensive, and the resources and time that people have to dedicate to get into conservatories and schools of music is really time-consuming and expensive. So I'm very, very, very lucky that my middle-class parents supported me, and I just fell in love with music when I was young, and I never had somebody telling me to practice. I identified as a musician, and that's good and bad. It was great growing up. When I got to Northwestern, music study was professional study. So that adjustment, which was like a light switch going from the sort of space of music community to professional study, it ended in June, high school, and then September starts something I wasn't ready for. But it explains a bit about my priorities as a teacher of teachers right now. So my classes are often helping highly trained classical musicians employ more creativity, more composing, more popular music into their repertoire, or teaching repertoire.
So you're helping them step out of the boxes?
Totally helping them step out of the box. The traditional conservatory student is put in this box, and then this box, and this box, and those boxes have almost nothing to do with what kids want in school.
So there are 5 methods here, and you're not going to see what they are, but you're going to pick them one by one.
Okay.
So just choose one first, and there are some words under it. So do you believe in this?
Absolutely not. Some kids are attracted to music, but that's not something you're born with. That's not innate, and that can be developed, cultivated. That can be exercised. It can be enlarged.
So giving them label kind of constrained their talent.
Yeah.
Do you think they are actually inherently talented students, or are those kind of people are more likely to succeed in music?
I suppose there are, of course, people like that. We're in the institution of John Dewey. So John Dewey talked a lot about longitude and latitude, and that we help kids specialize, for sure. We help them follow an interest and pursue that interest deeply. But our job is also to look at learning across domains and help kids find things they didn't know that they were good at, or help them connect their specialization to other aspects of life, other interests, so that it's a broadening and a deepening. So Dewey would say the goal of education is growth, and the goal of growth is more growth. And that kind of deepening and enriching and enlarging, exercising of interests and talents is the point of education. One's hierarchy.
Hierarchy music. So this term specifically means 鄙视链. There's a sarcastic way of describing hierarchy in the society or in different realms. So this is called 鄙视链. Do you think there's a hierarchy in music?
Of course there is. Yeah. One of the most clearest examples of this is Western classical art music, which is really only a period of about 300 years in a very particular place, Europe. If you cannot master music from that time period, you can't get into a conservatory, you can't get into a music school. So if you play a popular instrument, if you play by ear, there's no place for you. So at the top of the hierarchy is a belief that the greatest music, most worthy of study, is Western classical art music, and you have to master it at a very early age to get in. That certain people are gifted and certain people are not, and the gifted students get an education. That was how your teacher mistreated you, and that's really terrible.
So let's look at other myths.
This is true. You can train children at an early age if they follow their training leads to a high level of success. Now, the question is that developmentally appropriate? Is that good for the kid? Does the child have a say in what's going on? I can't say that early specialization does not produce great kids on their instruments. The question is that appropriate? One of my former doctoral students, she's a violin professor at Zhejiang Conservatory. And I remember her crying in class, and she said, I didn't have a childhood. She had a practice nanny, and the nanny would make her practice in the practice room while the other kids got to play. And that she would sneak in coloring books and comic books into her violin because she wanted to be a normal kid. So is that what we want?
So many people says music education is costly, so it's not only about money, it's all about their
personal
sacrificing.
cost too, yeah. That's a really good point. It's a stereotype.
Can you talk about this phenomenon from your own perspective?
I don't want to stereotype, but I think the Confucius model, where you obey your teacher, is a good fit for music learning. And I would say that the American kids who are good, who are also prodigies, are good at music, whether they know it or not, is also following the Confucian model. That you listen to the authority, you do what you're told. We just don't call it Confucianism. We just call it doing what you're told. So that's why I don't want to talk about stereotypes, because that teaching style is everywhere in classical music.
Okay, now we have the last one.
So it's absolute pitch, perfect pitch. I don't have perfect pitch. Do you have perfect pitch?
I don't think so.
It means you can, if somebody plucks out a note, you can identify that note.
Can that be trained?
For sure, we have courses. Your first 2 years in music school, you have to take 2 years of aural skills, A-U-R-A-L. It's helping you develop the ability to use your ear to identify pitches, pitch relationships.
So the sensitivity can be trained.
Oh, absolutely. You can learn it, yeah. And you're right, training is the word.
Training. You were just talking about a lot of children were forced to practice in a musical instrument. And then a lot of people see music instrument training at the very beginning is really tedious.
It's tedious when you don't involve the life of the student or the student's aims in your teaching.
There are so many ways to help kids find what they love and then get better. And then, so as a consequence, you say, oh, I hated music. The kind of music that you're being forced to learn, that's heartbreaking.
So you said you've taught in Xiamen University before.
Yeah.
And can you talk about your experience in China for a little?
I think one of my favorite experiences of my entire teaching career is 3 summers. I brought about 12 to 15 American students to Xiamen for 3 weeks, and we composed music together. And it's more than that. In the process, sharing beliefs and sharing our cultures. And then on weekends, we were exploring. We went to Quanzhou.
泉州
Quanzhou. We saw Minan opera. We went to Gulangyu. We would, just explore Fujian. And then Monday morning comes and we have classes again.
So what's the major differences you found between Chinese and US music education?
Well, once you get past the surface, there's not a huge difference. We're just people who want to learn from each other, be creative, and that's such a beautiful, cosmopolitan idea. Yeah.
And are there any unique Chinese music concept you would like to introduce to the whole world?
I fell in love with Chinese folk music. I had such an appreciation for the sound and the beauty of the folk music. I came to learn a lot of it is from the Mongolian and appreciate the beauty of the guqin or the guzheng, pipa. These are such beautiful instruments, and I'm just lucky to have had that experience.
We live in an educational world that's very closed, that's test-driven. 高考
听妈妈的话。
Oh, 听 here,
Yeah.
妈妈的话.